What if I told you that one man's body has defied everything we thought we knew about one of the deadliest viruses in human history? What if the truth behind Magic Johnson's survival isn't just about pills and doctors, but something far more extraordinary that scientists are still struggling to understand? Welcome to a story where science, willpower, and an unexplainable biological phenomenon collide. This is the untold truth about Magic Johnson's impossible journey, and what you're about to discover will shatter everything you thought you knew about survival itself. November 7th, 1991, the day the world stopped spinning. Magic Johnson, the man who made basketball look like poetry, the athlete whose smile could light up entire stadiums, stood before 100 million viewers and uttered words that seemed to defy reality itself. Because of the HIV virus that I have attained, I will have to retire from the Lakers today. In that single moment, everything changed. Not just for Magic, not just for basketball, but for humanity's understanding of what it means to face death and somehow, impossibly, find a way to keep living. But here's what they never told you. Here's what's been hidden in plain sight for over 3 decades. Magic Johnson wasn't just lucky. He wasn't just rich. He wasn't just determined. Something happened inside his body. Something that medical journals are only now beginning to whisper about. Something that makes his survival not just remarkable, but scientifically extraordinary. And today, after years of speculation, rumors, and half-truths, we're finally pulling back the curtain on the greatest survival story in modern sports. And what it reveals will leave you absolutely stunned. October 9th, 1991. Magic Johnson was in Utah, doing what he'd done his entire life, dominating on the basketball court, living his dream. Then his phone rang. Dr. Michael Melman, the Lakers team physician, delivered 4 words that would obliterate Magic's entire world. You need to come home. Not after the game, not tomorrow, right now, immediately. When a doctor makes an emergency flight from Los Angeles to deliver news in person, you know the universe is about to collapse. The test results were in. Magic Johnson, at 32 years old, at the absolute peak of his powers, was HIV positive. And in 1991, that wasn't a diagnosis, it was a death sentence written in blood. Over 100,000 Americans had already been buried because of AIDS. The virus was a reaper that showed no mercy, no exceptions, no survivors. 3 years, that's what the doctors told him. 3 years to live. 3 years to say goodbye to everything he'd ever loved, everything he'd ever built, everything he'd ever dreamed of becoming. But the nightmare was only beginning, because Magic wasn't alone. His wife Cookie was pregnant. 2 months married, with a child growing inside her. And now, Magic had to drive home and tell the woman he loved that he might have just condemned her and their unborn son to death. Imagine that drive. Imagine every mile feeling like an eternity. Imagine rehearsing the words that could destroy 3 lives in a single sentence. I have HIV. Cookie collapsed. Not in anger, in absolute terror. The disease that everyone joked about, the plague that seemed to only exist in whispers and rumors, had invaded their home, their marriage, their future. And Magic, the man who had solved every impossible problem on the basketball court, had no play to run, no strategy to deploy, no magic left to conjure. He told Cookie she could leave. He'd understand. He deserved it. But Cookie, in a moment of love so profound it defies description, made a choice that would save Magic's life. I'm here to stay. Let's pray on it. I'm going to support you. 1 week later, the miracle arrived. Cookie tested negative. Their son, EJ, tested negative. Against all odds, against every terrifying possibility, they had been spared. But Magic still had HIV. Magic was still dying, and now he faced an impossible choice. Hide this devastating secret, or tell the world and risk everything he'd ever built. November 7th, 1991. The Great Western Forum in Englewood, California. The arena where Magic had won 5 championships. Where he'd created basketball magic that seemed to defy the laws of physics itself, was about to host a different kind of history. 200 reporters packed the room, 100 million people watching worldwide. Camera flashes erupting like lightning strikes, and Magic Johnson, dressed in a suit, flanked by his wife Cookie, in pure white, symbolizing hope, about to speak words that would echo across every continent on Earth. Because of the HIV virus that I have attained, I will have to retire from the Lakers today. Gasps. Tears. Cameras exploding in frenzy. Hardened journalists weeping openly. This wasn't just a retirement announcement. This was the shattering of every assumption society had made about HIV and AIDS, because Magic Johnson wasn't supposed to get HIV. He was heterosexual. He was married. He was an athlete, a hero, an icon. HIV was supposed to be a gay plague, a disease of the marginalized, the invisible, the people society had already decided didn't matter. But here was Magic Johnson, proving that HIV could touch anyone, infect anyone, kill anyone. And in doing so, he transformed the global conversation about AIDS in ways that would save millions of lives. I want young people to realize they can practice safe sex. Magic declared. Sometimes you're a little naive about it, and you think it could never happen to you. It has happened, but I'm going to deal with it, and my life will go on. The response was instantaneous and overwhelming. 75,000 letters poured into the Lakers organization. A vigil at the Forum drew 5,000 fans chanting, "We love you, Magic." President George H.W. Bush personally called. HIV testing inquiries spiked by 50% overnight. But the backlash came too. Sponsors dropped him. Whispers of fear spread through schools, basketball courts, locker rooms. Some NBA players, terrified and ignorant, worried about cuts on the court transmitting the virus. Karl Malone publicly voiced concerns. The stigma that Magic was fighting to destroy kept clawing its way back, desperate to survive. But Magic Johnson wasn't done, not even close. Because what came next would prove to the entire world that someone with HIV could not just survive, but dominate, excel, and inspire in ways that would fundamentally alter human consciousness about this disease forever. 2 months after announcing his retirement, Magic Johnson did something that should have been impossible. He was fan-voted to start in the 1992 NBA All-Star Game. 1.5 million ballots cast in his favor. The message was clear. The world wanted Magic back. And that night in Orlando, Magic delivered 25 points, 9 assists, and the All-Star MVP trophy, tears streaming down his face as confetti rained from the heavens. "This is for all the kids," he beamed, his smile as radiant as ever. But an even larger stage awaited, the 1992 Barcelona Olympics. The Dream Team. Magic Johnson alongside Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, Charles Barkley, the greatest collection of basketball talent ever assembled. And Magic, living with HIV, was about to prove something to the entire planet. In Barcelona, opponents from other countries cried when they met him. "I can't believe I fouled Magic Johnson," one player wept. Magic high-fived freely, hugged his competitors, and proved beyond any scientific doubt that HIV could not be transmitted through athletic competition. The Dream Team crushed every opponent by an average of 42 points. They won gold. They shattered stigma on the world stage. And Magic Johnson, the man doctors had given 3 years to live, proved that he could still perform at the highest level, still inspire, still bring joy to millions. HIV testing inquiries continued to surge. Studies would later reveal that men in NBA cities were 25% more likely to get tested for HIV after Magic's announcement. AIDS deaths fell by 10% over the next decade due to early detection. Public knowledge about HIV rose by 20%. Dangerous misconceptions dropped by 35%. But here's where the story gets truly extraordinary. Here's where science starts to stumble, where doctors begin to whisper, where the impossible becomes undeniable. Because Magic Johnson didn't just survive for 3 years. He survived for 5 years, then 10 years, then 20, then 30. And now in 2025, Magic Johnson is 66 years old, still thriving, still healthy, still living a life that should have been impossible, according to every prediction made in 1991. January 2024. Magic Johnson posts his latest health update on social media. Undetectable viral load. T-cell count exceeding 1,200. No signs of progression to AIDS whatsoever. Passed with flying colors, he writes with characteristic enthusiasm. And the world celebrates another year of Magic's miraculous survival. But beneath the celebration, beneath the triumph, there's a question that scientists have been asking for 3 decades. How? The official narrative is simple. Adherence to cutting-edge antiretroviral therapy. From the toxic AZT monotherapy of the early 1990s, to the revolutionary triple cocktail of 1996, to today's single-tablet regimens that suppress the virus with 99% effectiveness. Magic had access to experimental treatments before they were widely available. He could afford the best doctors, the most sophisticated monitoring, the earliest clinical trials. His wife Cookie served as his accountability partner, ensuring he never missed a dose. His fitness regimen remained military-grade discipline, waking at 4 a.m., exercising 2 hours daily, maintaining 6% body fat. All of this is true. All of this mattered. But here's what the medical establishment doesn't want to admit. Access to money and medication alone doesn't explain Magic Johnson's survival. Because thousands of wealthy people contracted HIV in the 1980s and 1990s. Thousands had access to the same treatments, the same doctors, the same experimental therapies, and most of them still died. Rock Hudson died, Freddie Mercury died, Eazy-E died, Arthur Ashe died. Countless others with resources, fame, and medical access still succumbed to this relentless virus. So what makes Magic different? Some researchers point to genetic factors. Certain individuals possess genetic variations that affect how their immune systems respond to HIV. The CCR5 Delta 32 mutation, found in about 1% of people of European descent, provides some resistance to HIV infection. The HLA-B57 gene is associated with slower disease progression. Could Magic possess one of these rare genetic advantages? The truth is, we don't know. Magic has never publicly disclosed whether he's been tested for these genetic markers. But there's something else. Something that medical journals are only beginning to seriously study. The power of psychological resilience, of social support, of purpose, and meaning in the face of terminal illness. Magic Johnson didn't just take his medication. He transformed his diagnosis into a mission. Within days of his announcement, he and Cookie founded the Magic Johnson Foundation with $1 million, immediately channeling grief into action. He became a spokesman, an advocate, a warrior, fighting not just for his own survival, but for millions of others. Cookie's unwavering support created a foundation of love and stability that gave Magic a reason to keep fighting every single day. Their son EJ, born HIV negative in 1992, their daughter Elisa, adopted in 1995, their growing family, their business empire, their advocacy work, all of this created a web of meaning and purpose that kept Magic anchored to life when the virus was trying to drag him into darkness. Studies have shown that people with strong social support networks, clear life purpose, and active engagement in meaningful work survive chronic illnesses at significantly higher rates than those who feel isolated or purposeless. The mind-body connection in immune function is no longer controversial in medical science. Chronic stress suppresses immune response. Hope, purpose, and social connection enhance it. Magic Johnson's survival may be as much a testament to the power of love, family, and mission as it is to antiretroviral drugs. For decades, rumors have swirled about Magic's survival. Whispers of secret stem cell therapies, speculation about experimental cures available only to the ultra-wealthy, conspiracy theories suggesting he never really had HIV at all. Magic has repeatedly debunked these rumors, but they persist because the truth is harder to accept. that survival sometimes depends on factors we can't fully control or replicate. Genetics, timing, access, support, and yes, an element of chance that science still struggles to quantify. But here's what's absolutely undeniable. Magic Johnson's decision to go public with his diagnosis changed the trajectory of the HIV/AIDS epidemic in ways that are still reverberating today. His announcement increased HIV testing by millions. His advocacy reduced stigma measurably. Before 1991, 60% of Americans feared casual contact with HIV-positive individuals. By 1995, that figure dropped to 25%. His visibility normalized conversations about safe sex, about prevention, about the reality that HIV could affect anyone, regardless of sexual orientation, race, or social status. The Magic Johnson Foundation has dispersed over $100 million across health education and economic empowerment initiatives. In September 2025, at the United States Conference on HIV/AIDS, Magic sounded an urgent alarm. HIV isn't history, it's a call to action. He highlighted the sobering statistics. 25% of US HIV cases remain undiagnosed. Black Americans account for 40% of new diagnoses, despite comprising only 13% of the population. Young people think AIDS is history, that it's a problem solved, a crisis concluded. But 1.3 million people were newly infected with HIV in 2024 alone. Worldwide, 40.8 million people are living with HIV. Magic invested in Alchemy Health, a company expanding HIV care access to underserved communities. Cookie continues participating in panels about dismantling stigma for people aging with HIV. Their children, EJ, now 33 and thriving as a reality TV star and fashion influencer, and Elisa, 30, and building a fashion empire, represent the multi-generational impact of one man's courage to speak truth in the face of death. Today, Magic Johnson's business empire is valued at $1.5 billion. He owns stakes in the Los Angeles Lakers, Dodgers, and Washington Commanders. His urban development initiatives have created over 100,000 jobs. But his greatest legacy isn't measured in dollars or championships or business deals. It's measured in lives saved, lives tested, lives treated, lives lived fully, because one man stood before the world and said, "I have HIV, and I'm going to fight." On World AIDS Day 2024, Magic posted, "I'm healthy and stronger than ever due to medical advancements, but there's still work to do. Finding a cure, fighting stigma in marginalized communities. That's the mission that keeps Magic Johnson alive. Not just the medication, though that matters. Not just the genetic lottery, though that may play a role, but the purpose, the meaning, the unwavering belief that his survival has to matter, has to mean something, has to save others from the fate that so many faced in those dark early years of the epidemic." Magic Johnson's journey from that devastating October day in 1991 to this moment in 2025 represents more than personal triumph. It represents a fundamental shift in how society understands, treats, and responds to HIV/AIDS. It represents the power of vulnerability, of honesty, of courage in the face of overwhelming fear. It represents what happens when one person decides that their life, their story, their struggle can become a beacon of hope for millions. The doctors said 3 years. Magic has lived 34 and counting. They said it was a death sentence. He turned it into a life mission. They said, hide it, be ashamed, disappear quietly. He announced it to the world and changed history forever. That's not just survival. That's not just luck. That's not just medicine. That's something far more powerful, far more extraordinary, far more impossible to fully explain. Magic Johnson defied death. He rewrote the rules. He survived the unsurvivable. And his story isn't over yet. Because every day he wakes up, every time he posts a health update, every speech he delivers, every life he touches, he's proving one undeniable truth. Sometimes the greatest magic isn't what happens on a basketball court. Sometimes it's what happens when a human being refuses to let death have the final word. This is Magic Johnson's impossible story. The miracle that medicine can't fully explain. The survival that transcends science. And if this story has taught us anything, it's that the greatest battles aren't won with money or medication alone. They're won with love, purpose, courage, and an unshakable belief that your life matters. That's the real magic, and it's a magic we all carry within us. Subscribe if you want to hear more untold stories that will change how you see the world. This is only the beginning.